First of all, we're going to put some respect on Haitian Vodou. And second of all, class is in session. We are going to talk about the history of Haiti, the hidden history of Haiti that they don't want you to know. Once upon a time, the colonizer French, they settled in Haiti. This was back in 1625. In 1963, they established a colony in Léogane, which is in the Western Hemisphere of Haiti. This colony was France's most productive and wealthy colony. They grew tobacco, sugar, indigo, cotton, and a few other things. After slaughtering a lot of people who were indigenous to that land, they relied heavily on the backs and labor and the lives of Africans. So they brought Africans from many different countries in Africa. 21 nations to be exact. Now hold that thought. My peoples, they were so tired of the brutal treatment that these colonizers did after they stolen them from their land and their country, after they slaughtered a majority of the indigenous people of the land. They all got together and had a secret meeting in Boakaima. This was the area where all the enslaved people and some of the indigenous people gathered and made a plan. Stay with me, because I'm going somewhere with this. This is where everybody who was sick and tired of being beaten, of being exposed to harsh conditions and operating and working in harsh conditions, people where their families were being torn away from them, people who were tired of being SA'd, people who were tired of seeing their own people be unalived unjustly, people who came from that land who were tired, sick and tired of how these people come into their territory and treat them and unalived a lot of their people. These people came together because they were sick and tired of the bullcrap. They had a very, very important meeting where they decided that they were not going to let these people keep fucking with them. These people vowed to fight to the death of them. Now, I'm not going to go too far into details with this. I need you to go and watch the hidden history of Haiti. But the lesson of this is Haiti was the first black nation to gain their independence. Haiti was the first black nation to start a revolution and to overthrow their oppressors. But that had to happen. It had to happen with everybody coming together, with everybody pulling their magic together from 21 different nations and plus. Like-minded individual coming together, people vowing to give up their life for freedom. So that way, the people after them, the people they're fighting for, would have a fighting chance of being free. They fought and they fought and they fought until one day in 1804, Haiti gained their independence. Haiti was the first black nation to gain their independence. I say all this to say, y'all are asking, why didn't we, myself, and maybe other voodooisans, not come together to change the outcome of the election? Let's be clear on something really major within the diaspora community. A lot of y'all are brainwashed. A lot of y'all had demonized us for practicing Vodou. A lot of y'all have allowed indoctrination to cloud your judgment into seeing who your real enemies are. Y'all have condemned us. Y'all talk trash about us. Y'all treat us in all types of ways. And we still welcome y'all with open arms to help you with whatever issues that you do have. We don't judge you. We don't go sit up in a church and say what you're doing is pointless or whatever. I mean, we might make fun of y'all, but at the end of the day, we understand what happened to y'all. But if we cannot come together to make change happen, to ensure that we all are fighting for a cause to benefit ourselves in the moment as well as future generations after us, if we all cannot come together on that, and you're like, well, the voodoo people should have done it, then you're not ready. You're not ready. A lot of y'all are not ready. Y'all are still asleep. With the way things are going right now, I hope y'all wake up one day. Shit is getting fucking real. And at this point, it's man for themselves. If y'all are not ready to do what it is that you gotta do, come together as a community, take care of your communities, be one with your communities, support your communities. Y'all are not ready. Y'all are not ready for that kind of power. Y'all are not ready for that type of revolution. Y'all are not ready for that type of freedom. Until we take care of ourselves and we stop treating each other poorly or badly, and we allow these people to do what it is that they want to do in our lives and keep us at the bottom and y'all do nothing, then y'all are not ready for that type of energy. Y'all are not ready.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations, one and all. It is another edition of Revolutionary Voodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. New Orleans International Voodoo Day serves as a beacon for voodoo practitioners, artists, and enthusiasts, connecting us to our ancestors, our heritage, and each other. Through our collective efforts, we aim to revitalize and promote voodoo traditions in New Orleans and beyond, and create a vibrant, inclusive, and supportive community. We seek to inspire personal transformation, creativity, and social change, to honor the past, to embrace the present and to manifest a brighter future. The power and wisdom of Voodoo it can contribute to and create a world that is more just, more compassionate, and enchanting, where Voodoo and African diasporic spiritual traditions are valued and integrated into society, promoting spiritual growth, cultural understanding, community empowerment, artistic expression, and social justice. And we invite you again to our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day, May 23rd and 24th, 2026. And we certainly appreciate your continued support and participation on this platform, this live 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time platform, or a social media outlet near you, or by way of our StreamYard link. Thank you so much for your continued support and participation in the live chat. Greetings and salutations. I see my usernames are mixed up. BM4406. Greetings to you and yours, our beloved community member, Daniel Neal. Thank you so much for coming out and participating in our most recent new moon ritual application and prayer ceremony. Greetings to you and yours, Elijah Dupois. Thank you so much for continuing to join us, participate, and support this platform. We certainly do appreciate you. Greetings, Oracle Treehouse, beloved friend and family member. We certainly appreciate you and your presence. We certainly are grateful for your love, your support. And thank you for our panelists and beloved co-hosts, Elijah Dupois, our elder Reggie. On this platform, we identify as Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, also team member and administrative member of NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Greetings to our beloved community activist and Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, and our beloved team member and community member, Bianca Johnson Plessy, NOIVD, as well as La Source Hong 4. We are certainly grateful for your continued dedication to this 9 p.m. platform. I will not hold you long, and I will be unmuting you momentarily. We are continuing our conversation about ascended ancestors, elevated ancestors, how we activate and operate within that space, how we create sacred space, such as shrines, altars, how we feed and offer libation and offerings to our ancestors, and how we question them, query them, utilizing systems such as Obi Abata in the Yoruba tradition. So we greet you again with the echoes and the whispers and the voice of our great ancestors, those shoulders that we now have our foundation, that we now stand upon. And we continue our conversation on ancestral honor and veneration, particularly in the West African traditions and voodoo practices, but certainly from an Aboriginal indigenous perspective globally throughout the diaspora. We acknowledge the universality of ancestral veneration across cultures, being that we all have ancestors. And when we go back to the root, there are ancestral reverence practices within all of our ancestral lineage and DNA memory. But we highlight the unique depth and spiritual significance of these traditions in Voodoo and ATR, Aboriginal African traditional religious systems. So today we continue our journey through the spiritual landscapes of this diasporic practice and tradition, and particularly as it relates to acknowledging and honoring ancestors and bridging the gap between the living and the spirit world. As I was taught, and I continue to teach in Hoodoo Central LLC, House of the Divine Prince, that our ancestors are our front line of defense, where the goddess speaks in a soft, still voice, requiring us to be still, to be quiet, to be meditative, to perform ritual application and prayer. And we still might not hear her soft, still voice over the traffic, over the background noise. Our ancestors who have had a human incarnation, which science now supports what we've always known, that the dead never leave us, and that ancestral memory survives in the blood, survives in the DNA, at least 11 generations. And so our ancestors, as I continue to teach, are our front line of defense. Often that first inkling of warning, if not from your own head, comes from the realm of our ancestors. So we want to discuss the role of ancestors in certainly West African spiritual systems like Ifa, Akan, Yoruba, the Voodoo ethnic practices, but also here locally in the New World, certainly here in New Orleans and in Louisiana, and in your household and in your region, wherever you may be. And we want to explain the belief that the ancestors act as intermediaries and share our personal experiences. We, again, seek them for offering guidance, protection, blessings. And we've discussed and will continue to discuss the setting up of sacred space, pouring of libations, performing rituals to honor and acknowledge these ancestors, to highlight the concept of Egun, the ancestral spirits in the Yoruba culture and tradition, and their importance for maintaining harmony within families and communities. Our ancestors not only are deeply involved in our soul entanglements, our soul clans, but also our spiritual entanglements. Our peer groups, if you will, transcend just who we're blood related to. And as a side note, before I unmute my beloved co-host, we continue to offer you to trace your roots, um, uh, utilize the technology that's now available to us by way of DNA, Ancestry.com, 23andMe, African Ancestry, and the like. Trace the roots of voodoo in your bloodline, in your lineage. I have certainly done my DNA through Ancestry.com and 23andMe. And very unique and specific ethnic groups have come to the surface. Now, before I proceed, I have over a dozen regions and ethnic groups in West and Central Africa in my blood, particularly West Africa, Benin, Togo, and Nigeria. I am the evolution of Pan Africanism, if you will, in the flesh. So let's explain how our enslaved ancestral and African ancestors preserved their spiritual practices, blending them with elements of Christianity to create voodoo and hoodoo, obia, root work, and conjure. But our overall demonstration for ancestral honor and veneration. Greetings and salutations, Elijah Dupois. We certainly appreciate you coming back. Please do unmute your mic. Elder Reggie, come on in. Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, and our beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy. How you doing? Say paxe.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Oh, I wanted to share something. I told y'all a couple of nights ago about the picture of my siblings that fell off the wall, and I put it back and it fell off the wall again. Well, it's 13 of us, and we don't talk a lot to each other, really. But I decided I hadn't heard from anybody, so I was going to call them and just say, how you doing? I found out today that during the time period that the picture kept getting knocked off the wall, two of my nephews had strokes in the same week.
Wow.
Two of my nephews, my sister Cheryl's son and my sister Nikki's son, who looked like my twin, in the same week, and they both in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I felt, it was my birth mother hitting me. Like, if I would have called them then, I would have knew then. And I asked him, I said, well, why nobody called and told me that Eric and Weezo had strokes? And they was like, oh, we didn't want to bother you. See, all of them is up there together. I'm the only one that's far away from them. We didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
bother you and this, that, and other thing. I'm like, don't worry about it. Mama let me know.
Mhm.
She did. Yes.
She did. She was like, something wrong with the family. She knocked the picture off the wall. I put it back. I'm like, now how did this fall off the wall? I put it back and it got knocked off the wall again. So I left it on the table. It's been on the dining room table ever since. But now I feel like I can put it back on the wall.
Mhm.
Since I know what happened, I'm gonna put the picture back tomorrow on the wall where it's been at for years. But that's how the
Mhm.
ancestors can come through and give you messages.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I have a that's funny that you told that story too, because I do have a question. There's some things that I'm like kind of misunderstanding on. So my grandmother, she's like up the age, and she will always have a conversation because she cannot sleep at night. And I was wondering like why you not sleep at night. So she stays up all night because she said that every time she goes to sleep in her room, um her husband, my grandpa, would come and visit her, like just literally walk into her bedroom. But every time he came in, he would always come back with a different woman. He came back in a younger
Wow.
figure, but he would always come back with a different woman. So my grandmother is like, okay, well, my husband visiting me, but he came back with two different women, like two different women twice already. So what is this? Is this like another woman that he's with in the afterlife, or someone that he dated in the past and they connected in afterlife? So she's in that moment right now that she's like, okay, I think your grandpa is trying to take me with him, but I'm not trying to go to sleep because he keep coming back with different women. Like, what is this all about? So I just want to know, do you guys have any answers for how it work or what that mean or anything?
You might need a divination or a medium, but
Yeah.
it could be, you know, it couldn't. It potentially it couldn't. Potentially, I wouldn't say. Hold on, we reverse. Potentially, it could be like a family member or something that was long lost. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go straight left without a divination or a medium to confirm my standpoint, or a priest.
Yeah, and just because he came back with two women, that don't have to be women he hooked up with. Like
Mm-hmm.
Elijah said, that could be aunts or cousins
Even
Mhm.
that
unknown
passed
siblings.
on earlier. You need to somebody way more stronger than me to check into that for her.
Yeah, it could even be
Mhm.
unknown siblings. And while it's still on the tip of my tongue, uh, back to something that Sister Toni said that registered with me. I often have clients, you know, the minute I say ancestors, you know, they get anxiety because they start thinking about family drama. They start thinking about relatives. And so it's important that, you know, just because you decide to cut your family off intentionally, or because you don't know, you know, family, we are not separated from that energy. Energy does not die. It shows up certainly biologically, you know, where certain health conditions can be passed down through ancestral memory, ancestral lineage from generation to generation, from long forgotten ancestors. But so too are, you know, both negatives and positives transferred from these generations of ancestors that lived, you know, before us. And we don't have to have any knowledge of who they are. I first discovered that, you know, just in this discovery of my own siblings, and I won't digress, you know, too much. You know, many of you all already know my dad had, you know, a whole bunch of kids, somewhere upwards of 20 kids, perhaps. But even in connecting with them who never knew him, didn't grow up around him, had no exposure to him whatsoever, they demonstrate some of his behavior, some of his energy. And I learned that, in my early 20s. So, when we say honor the ancestors, we're not necessarily saying invoke relatives, particularly problematic relatives, but know that energy is ever present.
Yes, it is. It is. And like you said, they don't even have to, people don't know who all in their family. Like my oldest daughter wasn't around her great aunt, her grandfather's sister, but I knew her. She was elderly. And my daughter has her ways down to a T. Even her daddy say if she ain't mammy, she be like, I could just slap her right now. But she is just like her aunt, that she really don't have no idea of the personality. They have the same personalities and everything. And the thing about it was, though, this aunt wasn't deceased when my daughter was born. So, I mean, it got to be the energy. She was still alive when my daughter was born. We separated when my daughter was a young child, and she didn't know that side of the family. But those energies are passed down, and that could well be some relatives that he trying to show your grandmother. I mean, like if it was me and I had that clear of a vision like I've done in the past, I try to talk to him and ask some questions. I leave paper and pen out. I do. I be like, write it down, tell me something. But yeah, she needs somebody to really tell her what's really going on with that.
Yeah, 'cause I know like she I like I said, I normally be busy a lot, and I know that normally she'll call me to see if I can come over there. Just kind of like do some prayer, some cleansing and stuff. But I just be trying to better understand like what's going on, because she just be talking in like weird tongues when she called me late at night. She was like, "Your grandpa just came through here with another woman." She get, God damn it, what he was doing, I didn't know. I'm like, Grandma, calm down. And then she go to sleep, and then another couple of weeks later, she thought, Grandpa came through here with a different hold in her hands. I need some answers. And I'm like, woman,
Well, she needs
if
to
you
go
don't
get
go to
them.
sleep.
She needs to go somewhere to get those answers, though. Or do she want you to give her those answers?
What say
But
you, Elder Reggie?
I was sitting here listening and respecting everybody. Thought good night, Divine Prince, and everyone, and then the collective chat also. But I was kind of feeding off the article you read dealing with ancestors and the way it was being employed from slavery day to modern. And of course, my mind as it is, I thought about the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And I just want to read a quick paragraph. The African Methodist Episcopal Church is called the AME Church, was formally organized on April the 9th, 1816. Remember that year in Philadelphia. The church was the first African American denomination organized in the United States and was formed due to racial issues rather than theological differences. And by reading that, I'm willing to say the ancestor energy moved through the church system because the church system was a safe zone or a safe house. Because especially down south, and I guess up north too, I don't know to what degree slavery was held up north. These slave masters, these overseers, these were some mean, cruel, evil people. Anything they saw you doing that would directly tie you back to Africa, the Caribbean, of that nature was a no-no. And so the ancestors, I think, moved within people to have them move through these church systems to continue the ancestors' way. We know of the rank shout, which ties back to Africa. We know of the shouting. We know of the being possessed. To me, it's just, people may call it
Mounting.
Yeah, that one. And also talking in tongues.
Catching Holy Ghost.
Touching the Holy Ghost. All these was ways the ancestors was using these methodologies and tools to work with a praying people, a strong people, to keep them moving forward. And that's what I had wanted to add, because when Divine Prince was reading, that's how the energy was coming into me.
That's a good way of looking at it. That's a good way of looking at it.
But if I can add to Bianca's question, I don't see Bianca grandfather as her grandmother ancestor. He could be an elevated ancestor, but he's not of her DNA bloodline. So he's not a first level ancestor. And I believe she is communicating with both worlds. I don't know the age of Bianca's grandmother, but her grandmother is more closer to crossing over than being on this side. So she's having spiritual experiences over and over again, and she's sharing them with her granddaughter. But this is the process that we go through. If you blessed with long longevity of life, you're going to start crossing back over into that other world. And that's what I wanted to add.
Bianca, was your grandmother already spiritually sensitive?
She is. My grandma was the main person who we learned a lot about stuff. Like, you know, she saw like a lot of spirits, and she grew up in a family that practiced voodoo, hoodoo, and spirits, and did a lot of work, and she did a lot of readings and workings and stuff for people in a younger age. But she is like, you know, she's like about to be 89, so she's hitting up to that age, hitting close to 90. Yeah, so I just think that it's a lot of work. Like, can she still do candle workings and stuff like this? She still talk, like, you know, she still know and have knowledge. But I feel like when you get older like that, sometimes they kind of forget certain things. But she do still talk like she have knowledge. But I do feel like sometimes she loses her strength when it come down to battling certain things. And so she kind of call on some of us younger people, like my aunties or some, that kind of like, oh, well, can y'all come help me? You know, just certain things like that. So
beautiful.
I know mostly every time I've had a visitation like that where I could actually see and feel the presence, it always was a warning for me. It always was a warning. They was coming to warn me about something. They was coming to warn me. So now it's in my head that anytime I see a physical manifestation, it's a warning, and I need to listen.
Like
I mean, right before the pandemic, my husband, deceased, came to me to tell me that something big was coming, and nobody in my family was going to be affected by it. And the next thing I know, we in a pandemic, and nobody in my family was affected by it. But seeing him come to me, that freaked me out, because it was so real. Like they say, reach out and touch. I just felt like I could touch him. He was so solid in there. So I was like, so anytime I see a manifestation, I'm automatically going to get afraid, because it's a warning.
Well,
That's
let me add, if I could, Sister Toni. I really was supposed to be on the road tonight going to Atlanta. There was a Misa being held in Atlanta tomorrow night, but I didn't. I chose not to go because of Galveston last week. But with at Misas and at just regular spiritual gatherings, we can call present spirits forward. You could call ancestors forward and have these manifestations. And it's what I'm trying to say. It's not a real out of the known phenomenon, but it's the methodologies and techniques you can use to have these appearances in real time, in real place, in real space. That's what I'm trying to say, in the sense that it don't have to just be a miraculous thing. We have access to our loved ones.
Yeah, I don't want to see them.
Oh, okay.
That's point blank. I don't want to call them. I don't want to see them. I don't want them to come. Because if I see them, I've had too much history in the past with that to know that they coming to warn me. It's a warning. I mean, I've been having this since I was basically a child, but I haven't seen one since my husband came right before the pandemic.
Right. I understand what you're saying, Sister Toni, but right. So even though you support our chat and group and everything, you're not really practicing what we call voodoo.
No, I
Because
don't.
when you practice in the ATRs, this is like part of the process. Just like you may do herbal baths or you may do drumming or something of that nature. Getting in touch with the spirits, the deities is part of the process. But I can respect what you're saying because you're not really going after them looking for this. You're trying to
No,
find your own
I practice hoodoo. I
Okay.
practice kind of what old people used to call another word for it, mother wit. I do hoodoo. I do earth magic. I never really got into studying voodoo.
Okay, so Tony, I can sit with you on that because I do the trifecta, right? Hoodoo, root work, and conjure. So you don't do the conjure part.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't do the conjure part.
That's a big part of mine.
They just come to me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do
I
the
understand.
conjure.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally, support the voodoo. I know, how it is connected and everything, but I just did not go that far. I think if I would have had my mother longer,
Mm-hmm.
I may have, depending on what else she had to tell me, because I saw her do a lot of more serious stuff that she didn't tell me what she was doing, and I felt like I wasn't supposed to see it. But maybe I would have went. I've done a lot of reading about it, studying about it, but I just don't practice it because I feel I don't know enough. And one thing I'm really afraid of and tell other people, if you don't know what you're doing, 100%, please don't do it because you don't know what you might bring forward.
Yeah. So, Sister Toni, what you're saying is so true because in the church system, they use a word called familiar spirit. A familiar spirit can mess you up and trick you up. If you thinking it's an ancestor, but if it's a familiar spirit because you don't really know what you're doing and you're not really covering your own back, side, and front, a familiar spirit can trick you up. So what you're saying is 100% true.
Elder Reggie, we see familiar
That's why
spirit.
I don't go. And I've always been sensitive to like dreams and visions, and they don't be in real time, or else I think I would have won the lottery by now. They just come to me out the blue. I've been sensitive. I've been pretty good at reading people. I can read everybody. I could read them down. And they be like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" I'm sorry. That's all I can say. But in my head, I'm like, because I'm reading you. When I meet somebody new,
And Sister Toni, that's pretty typical on the hoodoo side, with my family too. Dreaming is the major divination on the hoodoo side. It's not so much on the like mounting as it, like, for instance, with like the Black Spiritual Church and Voodoo and some of the other ATRs. So I definitely get what you're saying, but like dreaming is very significant within not just Hoodoo, but also within Black Spiritual Church and the Black Church overall. Across the diaspora, Black people really respect. When Big Mom would say she had a dream, that means.
Yeah, that's how we treat my youngest daughter. When she said I had a dream, and we be like, E.F. Hutton, what you dream about? Was it me? Tell us. To the part where she keeps it in now. She really don't tell it like she used to when she was younger. She used to just blurt out, I had a dream. Whenever I had a dream, and so and so and so and so, and it would be true. But now she don't say it till way after.
Kids are
And
very powerful because they have not learned yet to turn it off to like what's acceptable or not. And older people, seniors, like Elder Ray was saying, can also be very potent because they're closer to
that side.
Yes. Okay, that's the best way to say it. I was gonna say sunset, but yes. So those are the two extremes of like how you can have heightened spiritual sensitivity from those two different demographics.
Well
And
said,
what'd you say about the dreams and stuff? That is so true. I still been trying to figure out this log cabin or something because a lot of the oils and ingredients that I had made with different products and stuff came from dreams. And it's like I would have a dream that I went in the back in the day, and there'll be like a wooded area, and there'll be like a little wooden cabin or like them old houses back in the day in the woods, and it would be like a oil lantern lamp on the table. And it would be the same dream. I walk in there and it's a wooden table with a bunch of herbs hanging around. And then it'll be a lady that will walk behind me. She's dressed in all white with a white head wrap. And I never could really physically see her face because it would be a blur. But it would just it'll just be like a bunch of ingredients. And it was like she'll put her hands on top of my hands and kind of move my hands to pick up certain ingredients, the herbs and stuff, and mix it. And then I would try to remember it while I'm in the dream. And then when I come out, I try to write the names and the herbs that I see in the dream. And that's what I would use to make certain different oils or different herbal blends. But every time I got a recipe or ingredient, it will always take me back to that same cabin wooden house in the woods to get the answers or ingredients, but I never could figure out what that house was and what that area is.
That might be a very old ancestor. A very old ancestor, the same one coming to you, trying to show you the things that you need to have on hand, showing you the herbs and how to make this, that, and the other thing. And maybe because you can't see the face is because you can't put a face to her because she's really from way down your line.
Some families have something called like an ancestral worker. I don't and basically that person in your family is kind of like a spiritual guide. You're on the voodoo side, right? A spiritual guide for the conjurers in your family, root workers in your family. It's kind of like how you have a living spiritual worker. Some families in the certain lines have a ancestral person, kind of like a heightened ancestor who teaches the younger people within their line of blood and spirit different workings. Guide.
Well, we're going over our time again because the conversation is so good. I want to turn it over to Elder Reggie to close us out tonight. Elder Reggie, take it over.
Thank you, Sister Toni. Thank everyone. What a beautiful show tonight. And I like the freedom of speech, the open-mindedness. I really enjoy that. But before I close us out, a couple of advertisements. Please come out and join us for Day of the Dead, Fat Gede celebration. And that's going to be Saturday, November the 1st. And their time is from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. in New Orleans at the New Orleans Healing Center. And that address is 2372 St. Claude Avenue. It's at the corner of St. Roch and St. Claude. Please come out and support that event. And we have a second advertisement, and it's the ritual prayer and application ceremony. It will occur on Wednesday, November the 12th, in the sign of Scorpio. Yay! At 6:30 p.m., 17 Stewart Street. A ritual spiritual warfare gathering. Please come out, and we'll be out there doing what we do to help support the community. Now we can read, lest we forget, The spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We have work to do. And with that, I say ashe, ashe, ashe. Have an awesome weekend. Good night, everyone, and we love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Odabo.
Mhm.
One word for voodoo.
One word for voodoo.
For voodoo, I think
Power.
Manifestation.
Healing. Energy.
Ancestors.
At home.
Alive and understood and accurate.
peaceful.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in that.
So, knowing what you know now, would you still get cursed?
I'm seeking out a curse, a hex, to put on myself.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God's real.
He could curse you with stupidity, but we think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's the power you're calling on. The devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Mayong is pretty much the epicenter of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.